All right, so as we end July and move through the middle of the summer, it doesn't mean August, typically the slowest market of the month, just historically next to December because of the holidays. August is a big vacation or holiday month, as they would call it in Europe. And then the first couple weeks, families in the U.S. get away before school starts. So August is generally, from a volume standpoint, pretty light. But there are some tape bombs or geopolitical news that's coming down the wire that's creating headwinds and tailwinds. Just before I came on, we had a headline that Trump tweeted about Russia is going to probably affect our 2018 midterms, and it's going to be for the Democrats because they don't want him. Whether you agree or not, that was a little negative to the market. That was 51 minutes after 10. So if I pull up the chart, it was a little negative initially, sold us off from 24 to 21. Not just an easy catchable moment, but it did drift us lower before it got a little bullish. Point I'm trying to make is do not dismiss that. Even though it's summer, don't let it lull you to sleep, and make sure you are on top of your game and knowing how to diligently react to any kind of news that crosses the wire or could drive us. A quick update as to what's going on the last couple weeks. Overnight, you guys are in the trading room, most of you are, but you're not. You got to know that there's more tailwinds. That's why we grinded up yesterday late afternoon in the S&Ps, and why we opened up higher today and had a nice opening drive to some uncharted territory. So if you're watching this on replay, it might not be as relevant as now, but this is blue sky territory. We haven't been in here in the SEP contract for the S&Ps in a while. Some movers have been Google because it missed earnings and rallied a ton, pulled up the NASDAQ and so on, but then they turned and then came off at some point in this session. But that's a tailwind for equity markets and boosts price to the bullish side. There's other earnings that are coming out throughout the week. Make sure you guys are keeping an eye on those, right? GDP, for those that aren't in the trading room, comes out Friday at 7:30 Central. It's the most important number of the three releases in the GDP series. There's an advance, a preliminary, and a final. This is the advance, and it's the first look at how we did in the second quarter, and we're about a month away from the second quarter, so it's most relevant than the second or third reading that comes out weeks later. When we get to the third revision of GDP, we're almost through the next quarter, which is Q3, so we can care less about Q2. We're worried more about how we're doing in that quarter. So this is the most important one. It's supposed to be about 4.2%. That's a big number. I haven't been up there in a while, quarter over quarter. So just make sure you know where you're at, 7:30 Central this Friday. Other than that, a pretty light economic calendar as far as what's scheduled. What's not scheduled is what's been moving us, whether it's Trump and the EU and some lighter talk on trade war created a little tailwind for equity markets. Him really not talking much more about interest rates like he was last week. Earnings so far so good, especially on the bigger stocks or bigger companies. And so here we are in the 2028 handle, and now deep into it for the first time since early February, late January. Remember, we had all that volatility because of inflationary worries for the first time in decades, it seemed, and the market got historically volatile for a period of time. But we haven't been up here in the SEP contract really since that period. Either way, make sure you know how to diligently react. It's the sharpest tool in your toolbox. Trust me. And I think guys are getting better and better at it as I underscore it through all our sessions. I think the most important thing about this Edge community and program is that every day you have a chance, or not every Tuesday, you have a chance to come back and hear me, sometimes each other. I haven't done an Edge trader interview. We'll get back to doing some of those as we move through August. Brad Jelnick, who has been contributor a couple times for Edge meetings, is scheduled to come back on Tuesday, a week from today, the next Edge meeting. Make sure you know where you make sure you go to that. Also, watch or listen to his podcasts, A Trading Life, Brad Jelnick. Google it if you weren't here a few weeks ago when he came on, or I've been talking about those podcasts. They're not long and they're good. you should set an alarm every whatever day is convenient for you to go and once a week listen to all the ones he might have posted. But he'll be on next week for some content. Now let's jump into today's content. Ready, aim, fire. About a month ago, we did ready. 2 weeks ago, or before I left for vacation, we did aim. And now we're going to do fire. Step 1, step 2, step 3, whatever you want to call it. Ready is something that might get you to sit up in your chair. Aim gets you a little closer taking the trade. Fire is getting you to click the mouse. And I want you guys, like we did in the previous 2 sessions of ready and aim, to fill out this cloud map that we're going to create. And the cloud map for ready looks like this. Whenever Prezi decides it wants to move. Here we go. Ready, also called a bias creator. What gets you bullish or bearish? Kind of a more general 20,000 foot view above the market to put horns on you or take them off. Bullish, bearish, up, down. And you could see all the information we got. I let it off with any kind of new news that might get us going one way or the other. A lot of good ones. Larger volume. Sell buy absorption, B2B transitions, good stuff that really help people, I think, help each other. And that's the most important part of this. And that is, getting an idea what other people are seeing. The next session we did was aim. Selling, no selling. So when the market has a red edge zone or some delta selling and the market can't go down, this was mine. I'm ready to go. I'm right there, taking the upside. In that case, selling, no selling is the right side. Selling meaning you're seeing aggressive selling hit the market, but price isn't going lower. Some of the other ones were, is there a trend in the direction of bias? A thin spot. A couple B2B again. If your fires are similar to your aim, so be it. That's fine. All right, so I'm going to pause the recording and give you guys time, because we do have we started with a small audience 5 minutes before, but we've grown to what is pretty much normal. So we've got a good group in here. Give me what your fire would be, and we'll fill out this cloud map, I've been calling it. I put in an ancillary jumps. So if I'm bullish for one reason and aiming for another reason, meaning I'm bullish, I'm ready to buy this thing, and the Dow jumps or the DAX jumps, I could click an offer and aggressively buy and get long. So I'll start it with an ancillary jumping. And I'm going to pause the recording and jump back in, give you guys a couple minutes. Type in, you might have multiple fires. Something that actually gets you to click your mouse would be the definition of it. Ready, aim, you're not necessarily clicking. What would get you to just go click? I'll give you guys a couple minutes and come back. All right, got some good ones in here. Let's go through them like we did on the previous 2 sessions. Chuck has, this guy, let's see if this works, good. Failed edge zone bar, forms and then disappears. Excellent fire, good, good. All right, I like that. Put it over here. I hope this, shoot. This Prezi is going to give me a problem. It's not going to let me update. So hold on a second. All right, I had to improvise a little bit. Prezi sometimes is buggy, doesn't let you update for different reasons, but we're back in business. All right, so John says an increase in speed or activity. So I'm just going to use a notepad for our cloud map. Christine, a faster time frame she likes on a 6 PNF on crude rotates back to a buy or sell zone. I anticipate to hold based on a look at the 12 PNFs, and then I look for more buying or selling to come out. I'm just going to copy this part of that, Christine. Stan, good to see you. All right, so let's go to Stan. Bullish, strong buying imbalances in conjunction with a PNF rotation up, okay? If he's bullish, that's what he's looking for. Let's copy and paste this in here. Let's also do this. Change the font size on this notepad down. Man, the PC's running slow here. All right. All right. I like that, Stan. Chuck, leaving an overbought or OS? What is that? I'm going to copy this in here and then read it. Leaving an overbought or OS area when long-term volume is structured short or long. Click. Overhead. Let's see. Roger, increase of momentum in one direction. A qualifying moment, such as an easy coming into a thin spot. All right, I like it. That'll get you to click, Dale. Here's one. Same one. This one's from Bruce from Indiana, but we'll still repeat what he says. Massive iceberg at the aim point with no countering ancillary move. So you're waiting for some volume to come out. Stan wrote a little clear. He made it a little clearer. We'll put it in here. So far, that's all we got. Who else? That's it? That's how many responses is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people, and there's 3 times that in here. Who else? Nobody else has a fire moment that you would share? I'm telling you, if we were sitting around a conference table, everybody would have to have an answer if we were physically all together. So you got to be able to come up with one. And it could be something your own, something you picked up in this course, something you picked up in listening to other people. Here's a good one. Dan says, a turn in the 10-year note. You got to put the failed one in there. Good idea. A failed EZ bar. It didn't work on that other Prezi, so let's add it. Oh, there's a good one by Colorado Mark. He's up in the mountains, I think too much. Oh, shoot. Didn't copy. Maybe I'm up in the mountains too much. He says after the counter rotation, then a shift in delta lower or higher, and a Hayek bar color change after the counter rotation. I have to have you on one time to explain that. I'm not saying anything's wrong with it. A spike in the NY tick. So if you're bullish and you see the tick spike up, that's really good. I like that. That's like an ancillary, in my opinion. Also working. Here's another one. Could be a news event. These could be your best trades ever, is if you're already bullish and a news event comes across the wire, which is bullish. So this is a good list. But I want you guys to continue to do some thinking as to, is it working for you? Meaning, when you get your fire moment, is it creating, at least, it's not always going to create an immediate profit, right? But does it create a good location, defining the good location, right? The biggest thing is, does it keep you out of bad trades? So let's say you're ready, has been validated, your aim has been validated. If you're taking 3 steps, you're ready to trade, but your fire hasn't validated, and good thing, because it would have been a loser. I want you guys that you have to document trades that you disqualify as much as the ones you qualify. So the trades you take are automatically automatically documented through your statistics, but the ones you don't trade or take are not. So let's say you don't see your fire moment, and it's keeping you out of good trades. It's keeping you out of good locations. So in that case, you're going to have to reevaluate. Again, the missed trades, whether they're missed winners or missed losers, are really, really important, because you don't see them in your statistics. You don't see them on your statement. You can't really throw all that data in any kind of review system and spit out stats, right? Their trade's not taken. And oftentimes they create a lot of avenge trades or good or bad subsequent trades after that, and you want to focus on why it's good or why it's bad so you could build on it or eliminate it. So just make sure you're documenting missed trades. I was working with someone last week, and they're very frustrated missing trades. And I said, well, how many do you miss a day? And they were unclear. Well, how many? I know most of them are winners. I said, well, how many? Didn't know. So then I had a strategy for them to say, you need to have those answers. So you need to put yourself in a position where you're so mad that you miss trades that you stop missing trades, because you have muscle memory of bad trading you did before you met me or educated yourself properly. And so now you're having trouble implementing a strategy you created because of muscle memory from something that had nothing to do with it, yet it's relevant because the psychology is causing you to miss good trades. But you have to define, release the anxiety, and not trade. Don't try to take a trade. Just document when you miss trades. Just document, not when you miss trades. Document when you were supposed to take, or you would otherwise take a trade, but you're not. And then just go through and see how accurate you are. So then you do have answers to the questions of, how many trades would you take if you didn't have a psychological block? 6. How many of those are winning trades? 4 on average, right? You could roll through it. You go on Monday. But if you don't document how many you miss, it just gets thrown in, right? It just gets thrown in a pile that you can't quantify anything out of it, and you just continue. It's a cesspool of emotion. Separate it out and say, hey, I know I've got a good strategy, and it's just my psychological barrier I got to get over because I missed too many good winners or too many good trades. But if you're not being somewhat specific, you're not going to get over that. There's no couch or great psychiatrist that's going to talk you into trades. You're going to have to say that, look at these stats, I'm missing good trades, I know I got them, and now you just start taking them. It doesn't have to be some long process and X amount of sessions with a doctor to get better. Sometimes it's just your own details slapping you in the face and say, get with it. And what happens with that, and let me stay on that point a second, what happens is when you don't take a trade because you're afraid, and that's essentially what this case was for this person, and it would have been a loser, you're like, well, that's kind of good, I didn't take it. You start validating that little devil on your shoulder. You're supposed to take losing trades. You can't find the winners unless you take the losers. So if your job is to trade, then you have to at some point trade if you have a strategy and a setup. If your setup is not very clear or whatever, then it's easy to be fearful. Maybe you shouldn't be taking the trades. But if you could say, hey, I see this setup and this is what I want to take, and it's fear that's keeping me from taking it, you're just feeding that devil every time you don't take it, and it would have been a loser. Like, oh, well, I'm kind of glad I didn't take it. No, you got to take them. There's exercises to do it, and it's to document the missed trades. And so another fire, 2 bullish big imbalances in edge zones and a single print of support. Let me pop that into our list. So it's not a pretty cloud map like we had on the other 2 sessions, but you could read them and it suffice that you pull out some ideas. But make sure your fire is disqualifying the bad trades and not too many good ones. That's another point of this session. These sessions in the summer, a little shorter, but we're getting to the point. We're going to have Brad on next week, like I said. Please make sure you're doing yourself a favor and listen to his podcasts. Like I tell people before, if you worked for me, it would be a prerequisite to continue to follow his broadcasts. They're short, they're sweet. It'd be a prerequisite or you wouldn't work for me. I can't do that with you guys because you're not employees, but that's how important I think it is. That's how important I really think it is to helps. That's another thing I was thinking. Handful of the regular Edge Team Room guys are away this week. They're generally here every Tuesday. They're away on a vacation. But we'd like to get theirs added to this, and that's what we'll do. We'll come back to this screen next week. We'll add in theirs and then move on to Brad. That's my most proudest moment of this community or this Edge program. Isn't, not everyone, but when some people say that they've been profitable because of me, that feels great. But that people have created lifetime or now lifelong relationships because of this Edge community. Whether you see each other a lot or not, there's been a lot of solid relationships been created that will last forever, and these guys now travel together. I take the most pride in that. So I'll leave you with those watching it live. You got to have an eye and ear on a news resource because there's an event or two that could move us, or definitely stay tuned into what might have happened overnight, what could be driving us. Remember our yellow circles of what's important. if Mueller comes back on this and says no, because right now Trump says, or his legal team says, he's willing to be questioned if it's just about Russian collusion. If Mueller comes back and says no, it's got to be this, this, and that, initially it'll be bearish. Initially, I don't know how long that'll have a bearish move, but initially it'd be a little downside if you can catch it on time. But there's always others. Just minimize and then at some point eliminate how often you're surprised by some big jump or drop if you could have been aware of it. You could have been privy to it. And sometimes there's big moves and they do come out of nowhere. But if there's a news event that drives the market and you didn't know about it, that's a big strike against you, against me, against whomever else is trying to pull money out of the market. We'll see you guys tomorrow if you're trading room guys, or next week if you're just regular Tuesday session guys. We'll add some more of these and the recording up later today, but we'll add some more of these from the Edge guys next week.